Okay, now we'll call the meeting to order at 5:06. Jim Spanos is attending via Zoom.
I can hear you.
You can? You can't.
Yes.
How about now? You hear me
Oh, I
now?
can hear you.
Oh, okay. That's a good start. I can hear you too.
Okay.
And it's funny, there's some regulations around Zoom and things like that. Do you have anybody out in the room with you?
No, I'm at my office.
Jim, do you have anybody? You're at your office.
No, I'm
Okay, all
alone.
right, thank you. Okay. And it's one of those, it's like you got to state it, you know?
Yeah.
So, first thing we'll do is go over the meeting minutes of January 21st. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 21st?
So moved.
Second, Herb motion, Cindy second. Discussion? Review of the budgets, the executive.
Yeah, there's a question on line 68.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, where did
Paul
that
and
come
Bent.
from?
It says Paul and Bent.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
I don't know if we knew him.
I think that's a little bit of too much a summary of my statement. I was talking about short-term rentals in a particular context in residential areas, not in business zoned areas. I obviously don't think all short-term rentals are bad for the town. We were talking.
No, I'd say amend it to, it's out there, you know, so I'd say amend it to, in the center, what was it, in the center of town or in residential district? Is that what you meant, Brent?
We usually allow the
Yeah, I would say in some case. Yeah, because obviously I do short-term rentals, so.
Yeah, we do.
Anything, any other adjustments? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes from the 21st as amended, please raise your right hand and say aye.
I,
Opposed? Opposed, okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. Now is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 23rd? Herb, second,
second.
Cindy, second. Discussion?
You want me to move down, where it says attending, you want me to move down those people into audience?
Yes, please. Any discussion regarding? I questioned the one I have is in other business. This is 42.
Okay.
Last year, the budget committee gave Carol a 4% raise, like all the other town employees. But trustees decided to give her a 6% raise. But I don't think the budget committee didn't give her a 4% raise.
Oh, that's true.
How would you state that the
Carol got a 4% rate
Yeah.
like all other town employees.
Right.
But she didn't, she got a
No.
6.
All right.
He's decided to give her a 6%.
so how about the budget committee recommended a library budget that included a 4% raise?
4% raise, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
That's accurate.
Well, wait a minute, because do you need to say that it was for Carol? Was Carol the only one who got a six?
No, it was all library employees.
All right.
I guess then you should say that because it says.
Yeah, that's
Did
right.
they all get a 6?
Yes.
Hopefully too, so yeah.
So, yeah, we should say that, yeah, it was for all the library employees and then ultimately they ended up getting a 6.
Yeah, huh? That's-
Ultimately, the library trustees gave
Gave them a 6.
Actually, it said that trustees decided to give her, give them a 6.
give them,
Yeah.
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 It's not just her, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything further on the minutes from January 23rd?
Just a comment if I could, is that,
Where's this?
no, I just wanted to know, is that it was reflected in this year's change? Because we said something about going back to the 4% this year, or was it less this year because of that 4? I was just
No.
wondering if that was, if there was a change been made,
There was not, I don't think, no.
not yet.
I mean, we
It's
didn't,
that
no,
budget.
we weren't headed in that direction.
Oh, all right, I thought someone had
It
said,
impacted something because now what was it 3.5 or 2.5% that was the town is giving
Well, in the
every,
minute, it says Carol states that unless the wage line is increased to 2,000, she will be short.
She will be short in the wage
and
line.
that's a
correct.
consequence of
Of,
the
correct.
new raise being a percentage
That's right.
of her higher amount that was above the amount that was.
Right.
approved.
because it was figured on 4 instead
Or
of
was
6.
figured on the 4
Yes.
instead of the 6.
Yes,
I didn't know if that was changed in.
No, I think everybody said leave it alone.
Yeah,
correct.
and in the budget it is.
It is. I didn't, yeah.
So we're not doing anything.
Oh, all right,
The only thing I have is on line 73, it says Karina states a warrant article will be for 600, but 350 comes from the, it's 500, 350 and 150.
500, but 350 is correct.
Yes, the 350 from the unexpended and then the 150 from the,
is that where you were gonna say that Paul was right?
That wasn't decided until the next meeting.
you want, should we put that in there in big bold letters and capitals?
I just thought I'd get.
Well, you got a good laugh.
I think it was, I stand corrected. Okay, anything further? Okay, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes from January 23rd as amended, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Jimmy's not,
Okay. Yep, unanimous.
Got a little delay. It's okay.
Okay. Second. And. To say the third and almost last thing on the agenda for tonight is going through each line and recommending each department budget, the amounts, and then at the end, the total. Okay. And
We also have to do the revenues.
yes, revenues, everything goes through. And the idea with this is you, at the public hearing, you have to present a recommended budget. We figured it out one year, many years ago, that we were going to vote it at the public hearing instead of voting twice. Then at the public hearing, we vote again. But you have to present a recommended budget.
Right.
Okay, so we'll go to start with the executive. Is there a motion to recommend the executive budget in the amount of $629,179? So moved, Jim. Herb, motion,
Second,
second, Brent. Discussion? Okay, all in favor of recommending the executive budget in the amount of $629,179, raise your right hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
nay,
One?
only because it's over 4%,
I got
Because
9-1.
what?
over 4%.
Oh, 9 and 1. Okay. The executive budget is recommended. Town clerk, there a motion to recommend the town clerk budget in the amount of $39,206? Herb motion,
Second.
Cindy second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of recommending the town clerk budget in the amount of $39,206? Please raise your right hand and say aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Town clerk budget is recommended. Tax collector. Is there a motion to recommend the tax collector budget in the amount of $48,470?
Don't move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion, Cindy, Herb motion, Cindy second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of recommending the tax collector budget in the amount of $48,470? Please raise your right hand and say aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Tax collector budget for $48,470 is recommended unanimously. Elections, is there a motion to recommend the elections budget in the amount of $4,425?
Don't move, Mr. Chairman.
Herb motion, second.
second.
Brent, second.
I'll share it.
So long as someone does it.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of recommending the elections budget in the amount of $4,425? Please raise your right hand and say aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The elections budget amount of $4,425 is recommended unanimously. The legal budget, is there a motion to recommend the legal budget in the amount of $115,000?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Herb motion,
Second.
Cindy second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of recommending the legal budget in the amount of $115,000, please raise your right hand and say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Abstain? The legal budget in the amount of $115,000 is recommended unanimously. First, is there a motion to recommend the personnel administration budget in the amount of $1,703,671?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Herb motion, second.
second.
Brent? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of recommending the personnel administration budget in the amount of $1,703,671, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed?
Opposed. Opposed.
One. Abstain? So we'll make that 9 and 1. Okay. Planning zoning, planning budget in the amount of $241,824.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Herb motion.
Second.
Dennis got it.
Dennis?
Oh, we got another guy in there.
That's what.
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of recommending the planning and zoning budget in the amount of $241,824. Please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
One abstention. Tammy, did you vote?
I'm on the planning board, so I don't.
Give it an
feel-
aye? Pardon me?
I'm on the planning board, so I don't feel right voting for this.
Okay.
Okay.
Tenon, yes, exactly. One. Town hall building, is there a motion to recommend the town hall building in the amount of $79,050?
So move, Chairman.
Herb motion,
Second.
second Cindy, discussion? Yep. Yes, sir.
Do you think there's enough money in there for any work we don't know what's downstairs, undisclosed work to make it habitable for you guys to have your files and everything?
We have CIP.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we don't have anything in the current operating budget for that, but we do have been funding it, that in the CIP for the last 2 years. So,
How much is in that? Do you know how much? Renovations
uh,
or-
I did bring my CIP stuff. with me.
An idea?
Substantial.
I
That
don't know
could be
if I
enough
have
to
my-
make things.
I mean, it's not a lot of money out, to be honest. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not,
100.
Town hall, infrastructure, so right now, currently, we have, well, at the end of 24, we had 79,000 and change. And then we're proposing to put 96 in 25,
96.
so close to 200. by the
Okay,
end of
okay, thank you.
The question I would have, Karina, would be, we briefly touched on having money to do maintenance in some of these budgets.
Some of the build, so like. We have, like, we have like a building maintenance line in the town buildings line, which is, I can't remember exactly how much is in it, but. Some departments have building maintenance in it, but I think that's more of just kind of annual kind of upkeep maintenance versus renovations.
But, right, but I thought there was something, yeah. We were talking about some budgets, I'm trying to remember which ones they were, and whether or not we had money in them for maintenance. Do regular maintenance projects. Was it the library, was it the public works, was it,
Yeah, I think.
oh, the
yeah.
new PD,
Yeah.
right?
Also library, because they do have a maintenance budget of $3,000.
Yeah, so the maintenance, they have that in the library.
There
You're
wasn't
right.
one for the new
There
PD.
was not one for the new PD, was there somewhere else?
I think
I think
some.
solid waste.
I think
has-
I think some of the shared departments have that built in, so Woodstock can share 50% of the expense. Yeah.
Building has a.
Community building, I think solid waste has it. I think you're right.
Have one?
Uh,
That's why, when we had talked to you about that, I talked to you about that, I thought there were a couple others besides just the police, but I'm not sure.
general repairs, they do have a general repairs and equipment in the rec budget.
Correct?
It's a general maintenance line.
That's town hall, yeah.
Right.
I think it was the new. PD.
Just the police?
It's the PD, yeah.
Okay.
I think you're right.
We haven't got there yet.
Okay, further discussion on town hall? Hearing none, all in favor of recommending the town hall building budget in the amount of $79,050, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Dan?
11.
Unanimous. Okay. Cemetery budget, is there a motion to recommend the cemetery budget in the amount of $25,630? Motion?
Second,
Brent second,
I had 29,000.
29,230.
So if I could speak on this, if we're in the discussion part, we had the conversation when we went over the cemetery's budget that you would like to reduce certain lines, the vehicle line.
We're gonna get rid of the truck.
We got rid of the truck. Yeah, we got rid of the truck. We got rid of $3,600 in the cemetery's budget. So that brought it from the 29,230 to the 25,630. The inside sheet doesn't have it because that's the trustees recommendation, not the budget committee's recommendation. So the budget committee's recommendation is on the first page. 25,630.
further discussion on cemetery? Okay, all in favor of recommending the cemetery budget and the amount, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're excited about this. aren't you?
get rid of the truck.
Why?
Okay, all in favor of recommending the cemetery budget in the amount of $25,630? Please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, cemetery budget, $25,630 is recommended unanimously.
And now we're at 11, right? Because,
11 people, yes.
oh no, 12.
We're at 9.
Four,
Oh no, 12.
12.
1, 2, 3,
12.
4, 5, 6,
Yeah,
7,
right.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah,
Well,
way more.
no, yeah, you said I agreed with it, but
Oh, because
I forgot
Jamie
Jim.
came in.
12.
That's everyone.
Okay, yeah.
Jamie and-
okay, insurance. Is there a motion to recommend the insurance budget in the amount of $224,825?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion Herb, second.
Second.
Up, I saw Al's hand up. Second, discussion. Hearing none. All in favor of recommending the insurance budget in the amount of $220,825, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Nothing? Okay, the insurance budget amount of $224,825 is recommended unanimously. Police. Is there a motion to recommend the police budget in the amount of $2,052,550?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion. So Cindy first. Sorry. Okay, discussion? Al?
Karina, what was the 5.66% again? When they all received 4%, what was that? If you can recall my memory.
We had some turnover this year in which the employees that left were at a lesser rate than the employees that we hired on board. So that skewed the percentage of what would be coming in 2024.
Okay.
So it's essentially all personnel turnover.
And that's by certifications and.
You got it, right?
Further discussion on the police budget? Okay, all those in favor of recommending the police budget in the amount of $2,052,550, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
One, abstain. 11-1. The police budget is recommended. Fire. Is there a motion to recommend the fire budget in the amount of $218,332?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion. Al, second. Discussion? Okay, all in favor of recommending the fire budget in the amount of $218,332, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Aye, opposed? Abstain? Fire budget amount of $218,332 is recommended unanimously. Emergency management, is there a motion to recommend the emergency management budget in the amount of $11,370?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion Herb. Cindy, second. It's coming.
I'm gonna keep right here.
All right.
Look.
Discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the emergency management budget in the amount of $11,370, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Hearing none, emergency management budget in the amount of $11,370 is recommended unanimously. Public Works, is there a motion to recommend the Public Works budget in the amount of $407,825?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Dennis, second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the Public Works budget in the amount of $407,825, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Opposed? One. Abstain? None? Okay, the Public Works budget is recommended in the amount of $407,825, on a vote of 11-1. 11-1. Streetlights, is there a motion to recommend the streetlights budget in the amount of $69,000?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Herb motion, second.
Second.
Cindy, second. Discussion?
We're not planning on any increases from the co-op or anything?
No, we actually purchased our power through a third-party agreement with Freedom Energy, and we signed into a new contract last year with that, so
We're all set.
we're all set.
Can I ask about the energy efficient lights that were supposed to be, the town was slated to be put on all the street lights, and so we could save money doing that? Weren't we in some sort of a queue or something to be able to?
I think I don't know any like mainstream project. I know that as they go out, they're being replaced with these new LED lights.
Well, I thought there was a project that they were gonna have all of the streetlights in Lincoln.
Not that I'm,
Last year, it was as they went.
I was gonna say, not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
6, 7 years ago, and we're told, no. We will replace all the ones that are burnt out when they burn out with LED.
does the town pay for that solely on their own, or is that done through the co-op? They pay for it.
The co-op pays for it, yeah.
I know when I had a light right next to me, they were there within 3 days. And it was great. And it was so much brighter than the old light.
And that was recently.
That was 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. And now we can see everything.
Is that the one Cindy, is that the one they just put up in the?
Yep.
parking lot
Yes,
across from
that's LED and ours is warm at 2 and it's still very bright because you can adjust the settings because sometimes people are offended, if it's shining right at someone's house.
Right.
And we decided to we're doing a test one at Riverfront. And so that's the setting. It's kind of warm and it's at 2 and I think it's perfect.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah,
You can tell the difference.
a lot of light without, and we've had owners say it's not,
Right.
because a lot of people say some of those lights are over bright.
They can be easily.
Yeah,
Further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of recommending the streetlights budget in the amount of $69,000, please raise your right hand and say aye.
right.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, the streetlights budget in the amount of $69,000 is recommended unanimously. Solid waste. Is there a motion to recommend the solid waste budget in the amount of $561,620? Motion, second? Second. Dennis, second. Discussion?
Karina, on that line. Was 2.5% salary. Do you recall my memory on that?
Yes, so we had, again, this is personnel turnover. We had an employee that retired this year and it's replaced by an employee that didn't have the same longevity, so the wage,
And the part-time line went up.
because we're 5 days a week, we're 7 days a week now.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending the solid waste budget in the amount of $561,620, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, there's solid waste budget in the amount of $561,620 is recommended unanimously. Sewage disposal. Is there a motion to recommend the sewage disposal budget in the amount of $343,650? Motion, Herb? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the sewage disposal budget in the amount of $343,650, $343,650, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Abstain? Hearing none, the sewage disposal budget in the amount of $343,650 is recommended unanimously.
can I,
Water? Yes, go ahead, Paul.
I'm sorry, but I missed something on the solid waste. The revenues, did we get a corrected sheet for that? Cause on the original one that I had, I didn't have any revenues for the town of Woodstock. I thought we were gonna get a corrected sheet on it.
I did, are you using the packet I gave you today?
No,
That's
does that
fine.
have the corrected sheets in it?
Yeah.
Okay. Haven't gone that far with it. It looks so pretty, I didn't want to disturb it with all my.
Yeah, no, the offsetting revenue for the town of Woodstock is 332, 330, and then 16 solid waste fees.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, Mike, yep.
Water budget. Is there a motion to recommend the water budget in the amount of $519,536? Herb motion, second? Second. Brent, second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the water budget in the amount of $519,536, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, the water budget in the amount of $519,536 is recommended unanimously. Community building. Is there a motion to recommend the community building in the amount of $208,745? Motion, second, Cindy, second. Community building discussion?
Yeah, you know, they funded for total materials supply 14.5. They only spent 78. They're asking for 14.5 again. I mean, I would recommend maybe 10,000, not 14.5.
Okay.
I mean, unless they can show me the expenditures for all $7,849. It's hard to justify that number.
Karina?
I think her explanation when they came in is that this year they made a conscious effort to use all of the supplies that were in the building, all the toilet paper, all the tissue paper, all the
exactly right.
broken crayons, all the paper, everything. So I think that they were trying to be budget conscious, you know, having the budget in mind and use everything that they had in the building before buying anything new.
I think she said they were gonna be buying new stuff because they had now used up their.
Right, exactly.
Further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of recommending the community building budget in the amount of $208,745, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One? Abstain?
Al post.
Al opposed. Abstain. Okay, the community building budget in the amount of $208,745 passes 11-1. Health appropriation. Is there a motion to recommend appropriations budget $54? Motion second.
Should we remove the Linwood ambulance line?
So there was discussion, I think we had it at not the last meeting, but the meeting before, yeah. That we had talked about moving it back into the health appropriation budget. And you'd like to see it as a special warrant article out by itself, or whether you want to put it back in with the health agencies. I maybe you do a two-part voting. You do a vote on the figure itself. So everybody, there's a consensus on what figure you're moving forward, or if you're recommending the figure or not for that the selectmen are using. And then whether or not you think it should be as an individual warrant article all by itself, or put back into the health appropriations
This year?
for this year.
Well, yeah, OJ, go ahead.
Paul started first. Go ahead.
OJ was the one that said that typically what they do is.
The first
if
time,
it's
yeah,
The first time they vote on
That's what I
it.
remember hearing.
right.
Is
But
it-
he also said that he would
It's a
be.
warrant article, and then the second year they'll put it back into the
Yes,
budget.
yes, but he also said that he would be open to the idea of putting it back into the health agents, yeah, discussing it anyways, putting it back into the health appropriations or the health agency's budget. If that's what the budget committee felt was more appropriate, just because we talked about the pros and cons and how it has a little bit more flexibility. I guess the risk that if the number is reduced, then we would have to find it elsewhere. I mean, there's pros and cons for both ways. So,
That was my question, pros and cons. Could you
sure.
go into detail? on
So as an individual warrant article, it only affects itself. So as a special warrant article that you're only raising and appropriating the number for the Linwood ambulance, it can only be used for that purpose. And it's that number in itself as a special warrant
For
article
1 year, right?
for 1 year. Yes. And so you vote on it. It's for that purpose. If someone stands up at town meeting and reduces that number, then it only affects Linwood ambulance. That's where it comes from. If it's built into the health agency's budget, then it goes similar to the total operating budget. So if someone were to stand up at town meeting and reduce the budget, the bottom line of the budget, They couldn't say, we want Linwood ambulance to be 300 versus whatever is being proposed. We would have to find whatever the deduction they're proposing is somewhere in the budget. So it gives us the flexibility to say, I mean, at that point, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, you know, we're taking money from another department to fill this department, but I think there was questions on transparency and where it would be in the future and how to kind of, I guess, address it in the future. Right.
Was the BOS recommendation?
Originally, we were all on board to have it be a special warrant article, so we could get the consensus of the community that yes, we're all voting for this amount together. But I think after last week's discussion, there was, I think they were open to the idea of maybe putting it back into the operating budget if that's how if the budget committee felt strongly like that's where it should be.
My understanding is the risk here is somebody reduces the total budget by, say, 300,000.
Mhm.
Did.
And then you can take that. I don't know if it was him or not.
Second, go ahead.
Then you can take that 300,000 from different places.
Anywhere,
though,
correct.
From anywhere.
Mhm.
But if the warrant article fails,
Mhm.
then we don't have an
We
ambulance.
don't have an
service.
ambulance service.
So, I mean, it's a question of risk one way or the other, I guess.
Mhm.
I almost think there's more risk on an article, but the transparency issue. So, I mean, I think it's both have their risks, both have their
Could you use
Pros.
unexpended fund balance if it fails as a warrant article?
No, so we could use unexpended fund balance if it
It's
is,
in the regular budget.
no, you can't. The only time you can use unexpended fund balance is at tax rate setting to lower the tax rate or at town meeting voted on to expend it or to spend it
Yes.
on a specific project.
I don't- right, okay.
So like if we go over budget next year by $200,000 because of X, Y, and Z, we can't just say, oh, we got it in undesignated fund balance. It doesn't matter. DRA doesn't allow us to do that.
I was thinking that when you presented it, in all of the past presentations, when something new came up with substantial amount, you said for transparency reasons, put it out there as.
Yeah.
as
Exactly.
warrant article. And I think it really can get muddied up at the meeting because you're going to add $37,000 to it when it's on that line. But
300.
387,000.
But
Yeah.
if it's put back into health appropriations, then that gets combined with the 37,000.
You got it. Yeah, yes, yes.
So then there's the question of, well, what's the real amount? What is the amount for? I think it's enough of a hot potato item that let it get discussed out there by itself.
Yeah. And I was just gonna, we've done it that in the past for like the SRO last year,
Yeah,
we
right.
had that be its own independent warrant article. So the you know, the community could vote to say, yes, we're supportive of this position and adding that money into the budget.
Right.
And I think that was our thought process to begin with, is that it's let the community vote on it, single it out. It is singling it out, but let the community vote on it as its standalone warrant article rather than trying to kind of hide it. I don't want to say hide it,
It's not
but
hiding it, but
but
it gets messy.
it gets messy,
in
right.
there some.
To, you know, it's easier to go to town meeting and vote correct amount out of the. It's harder to say no to the ambulance as an ambulance, and which is why I think it should be in a warrant article. However, we heard you talking and wanted to discuss it a little further to see if how strongly you felt about it being in the budget versus on the warrant article, and then we were going to go from there.
I have one more question. So as Brent said, if Brent said it's a warrant article and it fails, what are the options?
there are no options.
Options.
That's the other side of the budget. There are options.
you could swing things around a little.
Yeah, I mean, something would suffer. But we would most likely find the money to support an ambulance service. I don't know if we'd find the money at the current request that they're asking, but I think we would do our best to keep the ambulance service in operation for everybody, but something else would suffer.
And as a separate warrant article, that responsibility, the understanding is like, okay, you vote against this, you're voting against.
You're not
what the
gonna-
ambulance needs to run.
You got it.
You're not gonna
Whereas
have
in
an
the
ambulance.
budget, It's just like, oh yeah, find it somewhere else.
Yeah,
Got
but
it.
we're also hurting our neighbors. If we. We're hurting the whole community.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody in this room would vote no on the ambulance, but I mean, there's a small fear that the town in general might. I don't think it's likely. But
No,
I
I
guess
think
it
it's
could
more
happen.
likely to be reduced than it would be to fail in
Okay.
totality.
I would agree.
so
I'm just,
My-
I agree with you, Karina.
my thought would be to leave it the way it is this year and then put it back where it belongs next
Next
year.
year. And that was kind of our original
That's what I
plan.
was-
Yeah.
would that also come with that contract and the third party?
Yeah, I mean, the contract, we don't really have any negotiation power until we have money in hand that says we can pay for it. So that, I feel like that contract will come after the funds are appropriated.
And a third party,
That would be built into the contract.
So then we have to vote to, right, tonight to remove that line.
No, you just don't know.
No,
No, it's already-
It's not in there.
unfunded.
We don't have to do
You don't have to do anything. If you all- consensus of the budget committee is to keep it as is, as its own special warrant article, you don't have to do
We
anything.
don't have to do anything. Awesome.
We just have to approve this money in health.
Right.
Should we put $1 in it? No.
You don't need to.
Okay.
Should we take
Okay.
a vote on that?
If you're going to put
I mean, the
that
budget committees,
in the budget, in under health appropriations, then you put the whole thing in there.
Right.
But if it's staying on a warrant article, you don't put anything in health appropriations. It's not even
Right.
the dollar, it's one or the other.
The motion on the table is to approve the health appropriations,
what we
it's the
do
amount of
then.
$37,054. We're okay with it as a warrant article, then we don't have to do anything.
Right, we don't have to do anything.
All right, further discussion? Okay, all in favor of recommending the health appropriations budget in the amount of $37,054, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
That answers
Abstain?
that question.
Okay. Health appropriations budget in the amount of $37,054 is passed unanimously. Welfare budget, is there a motion to recommend the welfare budget in the amount of 11? Herb motion, second? Second. Dennis, second? Discussion?
Race.
I have some discussion. Oh, go ahead. Bill.
Do you think that's enough money for the welfare department? I know Jane does a great job, but do we really see what's coming down the future? I mean,
It's that we can legally overspend.
Okay.
Yeah, without any approval, without anything, legal and welfare. So she does a great job and I don't see her overspending it. However, if something major came up, she can legally overspend that budget.
okay, thank
So
you.
we're comfortable with that.
Great.
Further discussion?
Uh, Yeah. Not very often I ask for more money, but. I gotta tell you, I think Jane does such a good job here that we ought to put in this welfare budget. Whether it's a stipend or something. For Jane. I mean, that is, considering how big Lincoln is and what we have, I think.
She does it during her regular office hours
Oh,
and
no,
she has
I-
been
I
compensated
understand all that, but she, you
And
know,
she's been
it's hard to find
compensated.
people who want to do that.
for getting that training. You know, when people get training or certifications or whatever, their pay rate is compensated for and that happens.
Does her pay come out of that 10?
No, her bill
Okay.
comes out of executive.
I was gonna say, that ain't a lot there.
No, I mean, you know, and look, you know, like I said, the line speaks for itself. We've got people that are saying, shouldn't we increase? Well, the reason we don't increase it because she uses all the tools and her resources to be able to do it. And that's a job that takes a lot of drive to do because you don't just wake up in the morning, have known that there's a bunch of people gonna come at you for everything.
No, it's actually
For all the reasons. you
extremely
put the whole
trying
heart
and
out and all
stressful.
that, and, you know, if there was a place to put a stipend in it or something, I would.
Can we do like a bonus for having?
Well,
kept
so
the
last year,
budget under
so
bonus it.
last year so this in 25, we transitioned her to a salary employee versus an hourly employee.
Right.
And that, you know, included, you know, the 4% in addition to, you know, some built-in overtime that she would have received. Most of the overtime does come from the welfare department. You know, welfare is not necessarily a 8 to 4 type gig. It's, and it is extremely tiring, extremely frustrating, extremely stressful when you're dealing with people's livelihoods in your palm of your hands, you know?
Lose Jane. I mean, you gotta go out and find
It
people.
will be me and I don't want to do it.
It-
I mean, I
But it's hard to find people to do that. If I
agreed.
remember
Nobody wants, it's a thankless job and it's, as you
Say, my wife in
saw,
Belmont,
you know?
The person they had there was the same way Jane was, but they were, before she got it, it was really tough to find someone that really wants to put up with
Say
that,
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
you know, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like I said, you won't hear that very often, but
No.
she does a great job.
She does do a great job. I mean, and I'm sure she would appreciate anything you would be willing to give.
Tip jar?
Jordan.
Can we do can we do something or not? I'm just asking here, so.
I,
Does anyone have
I,
a,
I would say no, because it's messy to do and it's more about in the, are we giving Jane more money because she does a good job? But others. Job, we get more money. I think that's all internal.
Yeah.
And it's,
I will say that when we did transition her to salary this year, she was comfortable in
Yes.
what we
Okay.
proposed and where we're at.
all right,
But I appreciate it, Paul.
yes, thank you.
I'm
for your
sure.
attention.
I do. I do.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor of recommending the welfare budget, the amount of $11,125, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, the welfare budget, in the amount of $11,125 is recommended unanimously. Recreation. Is there a motion to recommend the recreation budget in the amount of $341,699? Herb motion, second,
Second,
Cindy second. Discussion?
Have they hired a part-time or an assistant yet?
We did interviews today. All day long.
We had 5 good candidates.
Really great.
Yeah. I was pleased with all of them. Lunch. But no decisions.
No decisions been made.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the recreation budget in the amount of $341,699, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The recreation budget is recommended in the amount of $341,699 unanimous. Library? Zero. No. Discussion?
so are we gonna base that on that 6%? 4% on last year's 6, or are we gonna,
we're not going
We
to,
already decided we were not.
Steve,
because
we're not,
trustees will
Not
have
based-
to.
we're not recommending that.
She had asked for
Oh, We're not
additional.
recommending that this year's 4% be based on last year's 6 when it was only a 4, so
they can do whatever they want.
Do whatever you
I-
want, yeah.
I understand that, but I mean, as far as the budget committee and
Well, that's all we did last year too, Paul. We took off the bottom line, so it reflected to us a 4%. They still gave 6, but we didn't give the budget for that.
Right.
They suffered elsewhere. This year, it's a 4%, and then she came back after and asked for more, and we said no. So that additional number is not in there.
The budget committee didn't have an issue. Okay, further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of recommending the library budget in the amount of $188,695, please raise your right hand and say aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, the library budget amount of $188,695 is recommended unanimously. Patriotic purposes, is there a motion to recommend the patriotic purposes budget in the amount of 10,600? Herb motion, Dennis second, discussion?
We have a contractor for next year lined up?
For the fireworks?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
2026,
25.
25.
25. This year we do.
Yeah.
Next year, do we have?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Until after the 4th of July, then we can contract with the next.
Who are we going with this year? Do you know? Atlas?
No, we're not going with Atlas. We're going with You looked them up last time, JPI Pyrotechnics, or they're out of Allentown or something along those lines. JPI.
Have to wait till after the 4th to get it.
Well, I mean, we technically only do a 1-year contract every time we, contract with the vendor for the fireworks. We just switched vendors this year because our previous vendor could not guarantee the 4th or the 5th of July. So that's when we started looking at different avenues. And so this will be our first year with this vendor. Only time will tell if we like them or if we don't.
Are there other towns that do multi-year agreements, and would that help? Once you figure out whether you like that person, I mean, because then, that way they can. It's better to be consistent. not
Yeah.
get a 3-year.
Sure,
contract or
I don't
something
think we would enter into a multi-year unless we were guaranteed the 4th.
They don't push.
That's
your-
what I mean.
Yeah.
But they might do that if they.
They might do
I
that,
didn't
yeah.
know if a lot of other towns do multi-year, but maybe as a way of getting them to
To
the
commit,
fourth.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely think it's, a worthwhile to look into. I think we would want to wait and to see if we think the show is satisfactory this year before we do that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I would agree. Always watch this show.
Okay.
The show will give you, you'll get a manifest of exactly what the show is. You should get a manifest of what the show is. You can compare it to the manifest last year, what the show was.
Well, we sent them that exact manifest when we contracted with them this year. We said we're expecting a show of the same size and caliber essentially. Or more.
But they haven't prompted you to get a multi-year contract.
Not yet, no. I think he's just trying to get his foot in the door at this point in
Oh.
this community.
Oh, then you'll probably get extra this year.
We're hoping. Yeah, hoping.
Well, you can wave that in front of them, say, if you're really good, we might consider a multi-year contract if you give us a 4th and do a really good job.
Well, he's already honoring the same price because he says his prices are usually higher than that, or he does different tiered type shows. So again, it's kind of just, we'll see what happens this year and
Okay. No further discussion? All right, all those in favor of recommending the patriotic purposes budget in the amount of $10,600, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, patriotic purposes budget in the amount of $10,600 is recommended unanimously. 24, long-term debt. Is there a motion to recommend the long-term budget in the amount of $1,563,600? Herb motion, second.
Second.
Tammy, second. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending the long-term budget in the amount of $1,563,600, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,
One, abstain. Okay, the long-term budget, in the amount of $1,563,600 is recommended 12-1 or 11-1.
What happened to the tan?
I just noticed that. I was
Yeah.
just gonna say that, Cindy. So
Yeah.
I missed adding $1 onto the budget sheet for the tan in the event we have to take out a tan.
It's on.
It's on the
Yeah,
summary
yeah.
page. You'll see the very last
Oh.
tan interest is $1, but I forgot to add it on the actual worksheet. So if you vote on that, we'll add it in.
Okay, thank you.
The dollar, right?
Okay, if, is there a motion to recommend the tan interest amount of $1? Or motion, second? Tammy, second? Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending the tan interest budget in the amount of $1, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, hearing none, the tan interest budget in the amount of $1 is recommended.
Gonna do the two. votes.
All right. So we have an operating total. So is the $1 in the operating total?
It is.
So do we need to do the revenues first? Or do we do the operating total as is?
Operating budget and then revenue.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion to recommend operating total budget in the amount of $9,656,682?
I'll move it. Chairman?
Herb motion, second,
Second.
Dennis second. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the operating total budget amount of $9,656,682, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Two? Okay, the operating total budget in the amount of $9,656,682 is recommended 10-2, 10-2. Okay, revenues.
Do we have a new revenue sheet or it's the same one that we were looking for? Did you give us a new revenue sheet today?
I didn't give you a new revenue sheet. You're still working off the old one, but the revenues for the operating budget is totally on the right-hand column. It's all the departmental revenues in the same column. So it's that 1,561,928 is departmental operating revenue.
Okay, so the total revenues,
And was there a change in the solid waste amount revenue? Did I mark that down wrong? 392, 330.
You said you corrected
Talked
that.
about 332, 630.
That was that's Woodstock share, and then you add the 60,000, which is our fees, to bring it to the 392, 333.
Okay, all right, so the column adds up correctly.
Yes.
All right, so is
Do
there,
we-
a mo- go ahead.
do we need to go by the column here? Do we need to go by the form? What's,
I think traditionally you vote on revenue as the bulk number. So like you actually vote on revenue at the $3,622,000, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure.
It's all the revenue. It's not just the
Traditionally,
individual
we go
revenue.
down through the state. The revenue form.
Right here.
No, we never did
This is
it individually.
revenue.
No,
No.
you've
No,
done it based on,
Oh, I don't care.
So which number?
So-
Hold on 1 second. What did you say? They said we've done it on the bulk and you said,
I didn't know. I thought before we had gone down through this sheet that was
No.
provided.
no,
No.
I don't remember that either.
Okay,
That's
I'm on my own island.
usually you use, like I said, if you look at your summary page that I just gave you today, it says estimated offsetting department revenues all the way to the right. The very last number is all the revenue, well, that's the operating budget revenue. And then you're gonna have the special warrant article revenue. And then you're gonna have additional kind of revenue that's not built into a department. And then, so the total revenue line is the $3,600,022.
So wait a minute.
Estimated revenue.
But we
correct.
don't vote on 3,000,006 yet.
We just.
So there's
vote
nothing
for
identifying the
operating.
673,094. What,
Last year, what I have on mine, just last year was.
It's the so, go ahead, Tracy, I'm sorry.
We voted on the operating budgets offsetting revenue. That's what we voted.
And
on.
what was that number last year, Tracy?
I'm
Oh.
just saying what it was called. We did the operating budgets offsetting revenue, not the total. Not the total revenue.
Not the total three. The only reason I say that, but I don't remember from last year. But I know because we're going through reserve and special warrant articles individually. And they have like special warrant articles has its own amount for revenue. So I don't know if we.
Of all the voting, then I have grand total, operating total, reserve trust articles and special warrant articles, all in one.
so
And I have that at the very end.
on this sheet, it has, on this sheet here, Karina,
No, but it's
25
on the summary sheet.
2025, estimated revenues, it says total estimated revenues, and I'm assuming that's from just the operating budget. Because it has a miscellaneous, has bond proceeds, but that is $2,235,022. This says operating total $1,561,928.
Yes, because not all money is associated with the department. There's money that we receive, revenues we receive, like payments in lieu of taxes at the $248,000 a year. That's not associated with a department.
So to get to the 2,235,000, would you add the 1,561 928 and the 673.
You
Is that how
got
that
it.
works?
You got it.
So there was nothing identified over on the left-hand
No,
column in
the
that.
673,
Should that say other revenues on
we could call it other
underneath the
revenues.
department? That
Sure.
way there, at least we know what it is, because right now it doesn't say. There's nothing identifying it.
Yeah, we can Call it other revenues.
If I have this right, is we're right now voting on things that we reviewed through the course of the year, and we didn't do that individually during the course of the year. We didn't review that revenue statement
Nope.
individually.
So, right, but so if we're reviewing revenues, then we need to, in their operating revenues, we would do the total of these would be the operating revenues, right? Because of pretty much,
No,
because, well,
it's right on the right.
that's why,
side
that's what I'm saying.
of the
This is
sheet.
kind of like this form.
That's your total revenues that like
That you
Right.
consider
Right.
operating another.
operating another, correct?
On the summary
Doesn't matter to me
page
how
on
we
the
do it.
right-hand side,
Okay.
that's all.
So it doesn't matter what's,
No, I just
Do it
want
the
to do it
way
the
we
right
did
way.
last
So that
year.
it's,
I think it would be most appropriate if you, if
Really?
you, if you voted, if you took the revenues, I would vote on operating another. So you take the operating
Right.
revenue,
which is what this sheet is.
which is the 1,561,928. Let's add the other revenue, the 673,094. That takes you to 2,000,000, the number that's the 2,235,022,
Right, which is what this.
which is exactly what that sheet says.
Okay.
Okay.
That's,
2,235,022.
Yeah,
You
it's
got
right here.
That's our 2025 estimated revenue.
As our 2025 estimated revenues for operating another.
That's it, right there.
Right.
Six, far right-hand column.
There we go.
Yeah.
And then I would vote on the revenue for the special warrant articles for the special warrant.
Right.
Correct.
hey,
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a motion to recommend the operating offsetting revenues and the other offsetting? The total amount of $2,235,022.
Yes.
Second,
Second. All right, as discussion,
gotta be fast.
so, yeah.
yeah,
So Karina,
Yes.
and other revenue sources,
Mhm.
it's got from bond proceeds, 4 million. That was for the Campers World underneath there.
Yes.
So this year there's nothing, so there will not be any. What's the matter?
Just wondering if there's someone in the waiting room online, because I saw something pop up on the screen.
I've been seeing, it says their internet connection's been. unstable.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch what it said, so I wasn't sure. Okay. Sorry.
So go again, sorry.
So it says from bond proceeds, 4 million. I'm assuming that's last year's Campers World. So this year we'll have no bond, we're not bonding anything.
Oh. Good point. That's not true. It will be 800.
Again?
What? Again, oh my. So I should just sign my resignation.
Yeah, that's all I said.
No, to be honest, that's inaccurate. So last year we had the $400,000 from bond proceeds. This year we will, if we end up being approved for the grant, we will have $800,000 in bond proceeds potentially. So we got to add that for Campers World. So we got to add the 800,000 in there. But that would be a special warrant article, so we'll add it into the special warrant article revenue, correct?
Does that go under the special warrant? It doesn't go underneath the other revenues?
No, it's a special warrant article, so it would go under special warrant article revenue.
Okay. Just thought, yeah. Aren't you glad you got me?
Oh, geez, I don't know what I would do without you.
I got an idea.
Hey, be careful. I'm not like Tammy. I'll go word to word with you. I'm not afraid.
All right, would you like the new number for that? Or do you want to wait until we get this?
let's get to
Wait
the,
till we get there.
Because now we're gonna go into the reserve and trust.
We didn't vote.
Oh, that's
We
right,
haven't voted yet.
That's right. The motions on the table is in the amount of $2,235,000 and $22 for the operating and the other offsetting revenues. And we have the motion and the second, and so further discussion. All in favor of recommending the amount of $2,235,022 for the operating and the other offsetting revenues, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. That amount passes unanimously.
Mhm.
12-0. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the reserve and trust articles. Your last page, you're well 40 of the next one.
Last page. Yep. 41.
Okay, we have the BOS recommended there in the second column. And we are putting in, if we are recommending the amount that was recommended by the BOS, we put it over in the right column.
Mike, I have a question on that, Karina.
Yes,
On that last page, 41. There's tax impact per thousand. It says 1,318,957. That's the tax effect.
where are you, what are you
Very
talking about?
On the very, very top, it's highlighted in gray.
That's the formula, that's our assessed value. That's the formula we use, so I can calculate what the tax impact is. So that's our total assessed value is $1.3 billion. You break that down and
That's not, okay, by the thousand.
by the thousand, and that's how I create what the tax impact is.
All right,
So
it's
that's for me, formula.
it was confusing.
Sorry, I mean, I can hide that next time.
Yeah.
No,
I'll hide it.
Yeah, I mean.
I want to see
Yeah,
it.
I like it.
It's also like on your
Oh,
cover
impact.
page. If you look at tax impact on your cover page, it's right there
Especially
too.
per thousand.
So that's the total tax.
Correct. It's,
Really
So we,
growing every
2
day.
years ago, we were under $1 billion, right?
I
years ago?
believe so.
What's that?
Might have been 3 years ago, because I think you've been just over $1 billion since I've been here, and it just continues to grow.
I'm not talking expenses.
I think we added 70 million last year to the total assessed value. Oh, yeah.
Janet got it.
You're way outdone now on this side of the room.
All right. Okay, is there a motion to recommend the CRF trust for solid waste in the amount of $12,087? Second? Cindy, discussion?
Yeah, I do. PD equipment, what was that again? 100,000?
That is for, so they have two lines. They have,
Wait,
Wait, whoa. We're on solid waste.
oh, you're going down. Oh,
You gotta do them one at a time because they're,
oh,
right?
Excuse me, Chairman.
Am I right?
I like the idea though,
Because
Al,
our-
just do them all at once.
Well, you can't, because I think on the warrant article, you have to recommend and not recommend,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, this community loves to
Excuse me.
do them individually.
Oh, you don't have to?
No,
Oh, that could be a problem.
well.
I don't care.
Okay,
All right.
all right, further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of recommending the CRF trust fund and solid waste in the amount of $12,087, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Right.
Abstain? Hearing none, CRF trust in the amount of, for solid waste, the amount of $12,087 is recommended unanimously. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF trust of fire and truck equipment in the amount of $220,000? Herb motion, Al second. Discussion?
That's the 220,000 for the truck that we've already purchased, correct? Or-
Well, that's just the
That's for
CIP.
reserve.
It's for future purchases.
Okay, does it include
The one that we purchased that we're supposed to take delivery of at the end of the year, we already have cash in the bank for.
perfect?
Further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of recommending the CRF trust for the fire truck and equipment in the amount of $220,000, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion, the CRF for fire truck and equipment is recommended unanimously in the amount of $220,000. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF and reval amount of $25,000? Motion, second? Second, Tammy? Is discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion, or is all those in favor of recommending the CRF reval amount of $25,000, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Are you there?
Yeah, he said it.
Moving real fast now.
Okay, is there a motion to recommend the CRF Public Works equipment in the amount of $145,000? Dennis, discussion. Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the CRF for the Public Works equipment in the amount of $135,000, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Hearing none. Okay, the Public Works CRF in the amount of $135,000 recommended. Is there a
We just
motion? to
lost
recommend-
Jim though.
Jim's gone. Okay. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF trust for the PD equipment, in the amount of $100,000? Motion, second,
Second.
Paul,
Oh, sorry.
sorry, Paul,
With Paul.
Just-
Paul.
Paul Mullen.
Yeah.
Is, discussion?
What was that, 100,000?
So
$100,000.
I just want to know.
It's to finish the last part of the simulcasting system.
Okay.
So once the new tower is erected, there is some additional stuff that will be done, so then we can communicate with the Loon Tower. So it's to finish the last of the simulcasting project.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the CRF trust for the PD equipment for $100,000, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, yes, great. Abstain? Go ahead.
Karina, when I was on Zoom last Thursday,
Mhm.
this kept happening to me. My screen kept saying there was something wrong in Lincoln, so. I'm not
There's
sure.
no doubt about that.
Well, I could just, there's a message that continues to come up that says the internet connection's unstable, but I don't have any control over that, unfortunately, so I don't
Pay the
know if
bill?
it's just, yeah, we pay the bill. Trust me, we pay the bill.
I just thought it was me. So-
It might be you, but it might be us too. Burdick's still out on that.
Thought you are control of everything.
Eh,
Did you want to respond to that?
No, I don't.
Connection really doesn't go up and down. It stays connected all the time. So I don't know if it's Wi-Fi in here or what.
I mean, it is Wi-Fi in here, but it's a secure
It is.
Wi-Fi, so.
Yeah. His connection doesn't have anything to do with the Wi-Fi in here. It's on his end, not what Jim is getting is got nothing to do with it.
But Dennis said that the issue was here in Lincoln.
It kept saying that. Hey, Riverwalk was out completely last night, so.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Respectful.
Mhm.
That was 11.
That was 11, correct. PD on PD equipment.
Moving on.
All right, is there a motion to recommend the CRF sewer system rehab in the amount of $295,000? Motion Herb, Cindy second, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the system. CRF sewer system rehab in the amount of $295,000, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
That would be 10 because 10 didn't vote.
Is the amount is recommended $295,000, 10-0. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF trust for the water system rehab in the amount of $241,000? Motion Herb, Dennis, second, discussion?
You know, I do have a question about this. So can we use, you're applying for a for revenue for the lead and copper thing, right? That's not gonna cover the whole thing. Can the rest come out of CRF and not be just a thought that maybe the rest could come out of CRF instead of,
Um,
I mean, is the rest of it gonna come out of taxation?
The rest will be bonded. I mean, we will bond, we will get bond authority for the full amount. We'll get a loan forgiveness of 71%, which will remain a balance of, I think, 232, I think was
Right.
what I said
I was
yesterday.
just wondering if it's worthwhile.
I mean, could it qualify as a water rehabilitation project? It could,
And it's more than the amount. I don't know, I'm just asking. Because we really didn't have that discussion, I think, it's during the,
it
I'm not
is
sure we know how
water.
much it was at that point.
Um, it is
It doesn't
water.
matter, if you don't think it's pertinent to do that, then I'm fine.
I mean. Oh, water right here. I mean, essentially, we'd be
Yeah, well,
taking everything out that we're putting in this year for that. Because
We still.
we're putting in
what's the balance?
241, the balance is gonna be 232. That means we'd be putting 9 grand into the capital reserve for the water this year.
I don't want to,
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that either. So,
I thought we were more than that.
no, we're putting 241,000 in the water this year. And if we have a balance on the project of 232, like I said, then we're putting 9 grand in
I'm
there.
fine. All right. Jan, so
Hearing none, all in favor of recommending the CRF trust for the water system rehab in the amount of $241,000, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Hearing none. The water system rehab CRF is recommended for $241,000. 11. Road and street construction. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF trust for road and street construction in the amount of $84,000?
So, yeah.
Motion, second?
Second.
Dennis, second. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending the CRF trust for the road and street reconstruction, the amount of $84,000, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Hearing none, CRF for road and street construction in the amount of $84,000 is recommended unanimous. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF trust of the engineering and planning, recommending the village center and riverfront park in the amount of $40,000? Motion, is there a second? Al, second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of recommending the CRF trust for engineering and planning, reference to the village center and riverfront park in the amount of $40,000, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, the CRF for engineering and planning relative to the village center and riverfront park is recommended unanimously for $40,000. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF trust for the Kank Rec area equipment, the amount of $87,683? Motion Herb, second. Second Tammy. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of recommending the CRF trust for the Kank Rec area equipment, in the amount of $87,683, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Staying? CRF in the amount of, for the Kank Rec area equipment, in the amount of $87,683 is recommended. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF trust for the community center in the amount of $30,000?
So move it, Chairman.
Motion, Herb, second,
Second.
Cindy? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the CRF for the community center in the amount of $30,000, please raise your right hand and say aye. Opposed? Staying? Hearing none. The motion for the to approve or recommend the CRF for the community center for $30,000 is passed unanimously. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF trust for the cemetery maintenance?
Zero.
Zero.
Zero. Well, you approve it. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF trust for property and building maintenance in the amount of $369,424?
So move it, Chairman.
Move second. Okay. Dennis, second. Discussion?
Do you know what that money's being used for? Or-
That money as 20, yeah, it's essentially all town buildings. This building, we're putting $50,000. Well, it's hard to try to read the lines going all the way
Hey, you
across.
want this? Goes easier. That's why I bring it.
$5,000 in just general building maintenance repair, property building. Kank Rec is the 142,424, 65,000 in the fire department infrastructure, 1,000 in the old, oh, nope. Kank Rec infrastructure, dugout lights, etc. 5,000 is for Old Hole public access. 96,000 is for town hall here. 5,000 is for the ski slope top shed and 50,000 is for the new town services building.
Further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of recommending the CRF trust for the property and building maintenance in the amount of $369,424, please raise your right hand and say aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, CRF property or trust fund for property and building maintenance, the amount of $369,424 is recommended. Is there a motion to recommend the employee?
That's a zero.
Yeah, actually, I think we could vote on that because somebody could say they want to put money in it.
They
Yes,
still
or no?
could. Yeah, you don't have to vote on a zero.
What's that?
I wouldn't think you would have to vote on a zero. They could still put it in. Yeah. Any of,
Money into
I
it.
don't know. I'm just looking at it as,
They didn't come to the budget meeting before.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, zero is usually.
Okay. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF trust for the library technology in the amount of $2,000? Motion Herb, second. Second Dennis. Discussion?
Just curious why this doesn't go in their regular budget. Seems like technology would be a fundamental part of their program there.
most of the stuff is over the requirement that they meet. What is it? 15,000?
Thought it was 5,000.
I don't know now. Oh,
It might be 5.
here's the handbook
Yeah.
right there.
Does it say 5? Um,
$15,000.
50.
I don't know. I imagine,
Because of the cost,
yeah.
because they buy it in such group.
Yeah, I guess I don't know the answer to that question.
I mean,
I don't want to speak for the library and make something up, but
Well,
I
think
mean-
that's what they told us, because when they come in, they usually combine a whole bunch of purchases together. And that's why it's more than 15,000.
okay.
okay.
Further discussion? All those in favor of recommending the CRF trust fund for library technology in the amount of $2,000, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? CRF trust for the library technology for $2,000 is recommended unanimous. Is there a motion to recommend the CRF and trust fund for the library building in the amount of $20,000? So moved, Jim. The Herb motion, Dennis second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the CRF trust fund for the library building in the amount of $20,000, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, the CRF trust for the library building for $20,000 is recommended unanimous. There were no changes in any of those line items. So is there a recommendation is there a motion to recommend subtotal for the CRF trust funds in the amount of $1,661,194? So moved, Mr. Chairman. Motion, Herb, Al, second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the subtotal for the CRF trust funds in the amount of $1,661,194, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, the CRF subtotal in the amount of $1,661,194 is recommended unanimous. Okay, another special warrant article. Anybody have anything before we get into this? Before we between here, take a break. Okay, is there a motion to recommend the special warrant article for the PD vehicle new cruiser in the amount of $64,408? So moved, Jim. Motion Herb. Second. Second Dennis. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the warrant article for the PD vehicle for $64,408, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion for the warrant article for the PD vehicle for $64,408 is recommended unanimously. Is there a motion to recommend the highway block grant in the amount of $35,000? So moved, Mr. Chairman. Motion Herb, second.
Second.
Second Brent. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the article for the highway block grant in the amount of $35,000, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay, the article for the highway block grant for $35,000 recommended unanimously. Is there a motion?
The next one's a zero.
Oh, they are?
Down to sewer.
Zeros.
All right, another sewer. Okay, is there a motion to recommend the warrant for the sewer rehab capital reserve reimbursement in the amount of $215,000? So moved, Chairman. Motion, second? Second Cindy, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the article for the sewer rehab capital reserve reimbursement for $215,000, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion to recommend the article for the sewer rehab for $215,000 recommended unanimously. Is there a motion to recommend the article for the Kankrek area building improvements, the amount of $150,000? So moved, Chairman. Motion Herb, second. Second Tammy. Discussion?
Is that the same? That's not the same as we did last year.
No.
No, this is another.
This is the 150,000 that will be raised in taxation for the Kankrek improvements,
Not the.
not the taxation part.
But this is not specifically the pavilion that we discussed last.
Correct.
That money's already been put aside.
That
That's
already has already been
From
put
last
aside.
year.
You got it.
Thank you.
Warrant article. stop at 30%.
Well, yeah. If you look at the amount that was recommended by Alba Architects, it was 700. It was actually $665,000, and he recommended a 10% contingency, which would have been 731,500. This total will be, Karina will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure. But there's $937,855.
Yep.
That is available to do this when we have a recommendation from Alba Architects of 731,000, and that includes a 10% contingency. So it's way over even what the architects by about $206,000.
Can I speak to that? Okay,
Please.
thank
Sure.
you. That,
That's why I asked.
that is because that quote was given to us before we met with the Public Works Department and sat down and talked about the logistics of putting a renovation and upgrades into that building. And that's when the electrical concern was brought up. And also that the windows and the doors would most likely not be able to be repurposed. So they suggested we add an additional contingency or additional funds to the budget, to the project that weren't originally included.
And this was discussed the other night.
Correct.
Right, but there's renovation, I mean, he has taken this into consideration. He had renovation cost, and then he has new building cost and a pavilion. I mean, so
Yeah, but he didn't, in fact,
renovations to
where-
existing building with attached pavilion. So I mean, it's, I gotta tell you,
it's not,
thing is
to
way-
rewire the whole building is not included in the July estimate.
but you're not gonna rewire the whole.
We cannot connect, we cannot do new construction to old construction that doesn't meet code. So we will have to bring it up.
Did we get an,
You're still, I mean, you're looking at $275 a square foot.
Yeah.
For the whole building. And like I said, that pavilion can be done for a lot less. I gotta tell you, I think this is a big ask.
I don't
this is a
disagree that it's a big ask,
I think
but
it's a
we
big
can only
ask.
go off of the numbers that we've been provided by the architect and the engineer and then build in a contingency for the unknown.
But, you know, you can say that, but you don't really know what the contingency is. You haven't got any estimates. I mean, and to me, it's,
What do you think it's
Just-
going to cost to rewire that whole building?
due to the fact that it's not a regular residential building. And it
It's a
is.
commercial
and-
building.
And it, well, you can, yeah, it's.
That's how
kind-
the insurance is
It's
going to
kind
look
of,
at it.
yeah, I know, but it's kind of a ski hut with plywood and. I understand that, but
It's got to be ADA compliant. We got to do all the things we don't
I
necessarily
understand
want to do.
those
but
prices.
We have to do.
The prices that you have, I gotta tell you, are, I'm telling you,
Okay, we kind of.
Honestly, professional experience, architects are not known for being. for Coming up with estimates that are overly done, that generally I found them to be well below what the real cost of the project gonna be in the end.
well, if you,
So I think the architect's estimate's probably low and you're gonna need that extra cash at some point anyway.
I think at $275 a square foot, if you take a look at, that's the price to build new, $275 a square foot, a new house without, that's starting from the foundation up. And that's given today's residential building with sheetrock and lighting and all of that. That's not what the Kank is. The Kank is not that. The Kank is a ski hut, a warming hut. Granted, it's gonna be updated for the bathroom and, you know, but it's not gonna have high-speed bathroom fixtures in it. And it's not gonna have, so I mean, the stuff that's gonna be in the Kank ski hut, it's not gonna be like you were gonna be building a residential house. And I mean, $275 is today's is a pretty good price in today's market to build a house.
The state was here to talk about campground land. They told us that they estimated $300 a square foot to build. You know, simple housing.
Go online and look, I mean, even your own personal experience, take a look around. It's a lot of money. I think you can build something, I'll bet you can build that tank for under $200 a square foot.
So.
And this, and this,
That would be great. You're right.
and this does not take into consideration any volunteerism or any work that could be done by the town. For example, the pavilion.
That's not true. Any work that could be done by the town. Nate is already, we didn't factor in running a new electrical line to the back transformer. We didn't factor any of that stuff in. We didn't factor any earthwork or any of that in.
Foundation for the pavilion and all that. Nate gonna do all.
Nate's gonna do,
So I'm
yeah.
telling you, it's way over considering that.
Not the materials, no, obviously, but
So, how about this? So if it's designed like this, it's gonna be built like this, right? There'll be no additional things up.
well, I mean, these are conceptual. These aren't
This
as-built
way-
plans, or these aren't for construction plans.
Oh, I
These are
understand, I
conceptual.
understand it. My concern is that.
Size and scope
my
of the
concern is
project's not
just-
gonna
ju-
change.
Just like the ambulance, okay? If it's designed and this is the price to do it, and you can do it, this design for that, for a lot less than that money, you will not, you're telling me you will not use it. You won't just start saying, Tammy, you know what? Now we can have an 8-burner oven over here and we can, or, things like that. I'm just, look.
Sorry.
There is a stove
concerned that
though,
It's gonna,
so that, no, I
I'm
mean, that
concerned-
affects the
I'm
water.
concerned you're gonna
Yeah,
build,
it does.
I'm concerned you're gonna build to the dollar amount rather than build what you need. When I went over there for those meetings, for both of those meetings.
Yeah.
For example, they were talking about, this is gonna be for the kids. And now I see there's a ski patrol place, and I mean, a ski race coach office and things like that, but there's nothing there for the kids to sharpen their skis. There was gonna be, they were gonna have ski tuning room.
Well-
I don't see a ski tuning room here, so.
That's where they went to the bench.
They're gonna put that bench in that little closet?
Okay, if I may.
Anyway.
I'm going, yes.
Sorry, I'm just saying, I just don't want to.
Okay.
I just don't want to build it to the price, because then it's just like Walter said. I mean, everybody's on,
We hear
Well,
it.
those
Wayne.
things affect the cost. Like, is there gonna be a ski wax machine or anything like that?
but it could be.
Cause that could affect the wiring as well.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing currently. I imagine, yes, that there will be a waxing and tuning area. There'll probably be some race equipment, there'll probably be a timing, I think there's a proposed little timing hut for the races. Yeah, there will be some of those things.
Is there any consensus? I understand your concerns.
Well,
With
fine,
anybody
I
else
just said-
about changing this budget?
I know how to do that.
What's that?
No, I'm just kidding.
He knows how to do it at
Well,
town
that's what I
meeting,
mean.
yeah.
Well, you can make this statement
I'm
personally.
sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's okay, but I'm just saying from a committee standpoint is, I don't think it's gonna change.
That's fine.
So if does anybody else have anything they want to say about that? No? Hearing none, all of those that are in favor of recommending the Kank Rec building improvements warrant article in the amount of $150,000, please raise your right hand and say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
One? Okay, the Kank Rec area warrant for building improvements is recommended for $150,000, 10 to 1, 10 and 1. Thank you. Is there a motion to recommend the warrant for the Kank Rec building improvements in the amount of $350,000?
Don't move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion? Second, Tammy, discussion?
I just will, just for clarification purposes, this will be one warrant article on the warrant, but I wanted to be able to show you the taxation piece of it. So what the $150,000 will be on taxation, and then the $350,000 on taxation. So on the warrant, it will be one warrant article with different revenue sources, but I wanted to be able to say it was going to cost this taxation wise.
So it could fail.
Well, every article could
Right,
fail.
okay.
Yeah.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the warrant for the Kank Rec building improvements in the amount of $350,000 that's coming from undesignated funds, please raise your right hand and say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
One. The article to recommend the Kank building improvements of $350,000 from unexpended fund balance is recommended 10 and 1. Is there a motion to recommend the article for the Linwood ambulance in the amount of $387,515?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion Herb, second. Cindy, discussion?
Yeah, I don't think we should. I'm really torn about this. I mean, we sat here originally. We said that even Herb, said, it was a slap in the face to put this in there. And hasn't changed. So the Board of Selectmen came in the other night and said, that's what they're recommending for the ambulance. I agree, we need the ambulance. I agree, we need to fund it. It's not about that. It's about who pays the bill for it, and, I don't know. I mean, why is Woodstock it pits Woodstock against Lincoln, and unfortunately that's what it does. But why should it be that way? I mean, are we not sticking up for Lincoln taxpayers by not doing that?
And if I'll answer you now. You asked that question.
Go ahead.
Is I thought that we determined that each individual taxpayer in Woodstock is paying twice what a Lincoln Woodstock person is paying. We determined that. Am I right?
68
Well,
cents.
I think if I'm,
It's actually a little more.
1 second.
Go ahead.
But I just wanted to, does that sit under, everybody understand that? So I have a hard time finding out how Lincoln's paying more.
all right, I can explain.
I
that.
just,
So, let me finish. So I mean, how are they paying? How is it that Lincoln's paying the bill?
I didn't say they were paying more. I said, why is it that Lincoln, that we should be given that split difference from Woodstock? So what I did was
Wait, 1 second. But we
Go.
just hold on to this one question. The only other way that it could happen is if Woodstock individual taxpayer paid more and we paid less.
no. Well,
How else would it be done?
what I'm saying is that,
I
so
can
last
explain
year we appropriated $137,500. So the difference between the $137,500 and what the per thousand rate would be is the actual increase to Woodstock and Lincoln for this year. I mean, if you go on calls, Woodstock's is gonna go up 10 cents a thousand. Lincoln's is gonna go up 21 cents a thousand. Different from last year. So my point is, so if you take a $300,000 house, you're talking about Woodstock paying on the calls, you're talking about $30 for Woodstock. So if you base it on population, it's 0.43 cents different times 1,000 times 300. You're talking about $129 versus the 70, whatever the first one was, I said, difference. We're talking about if you move it to based on population, which is what we were talking about originally when we first did it, Woodstock would have to pay $129 because they live in Woodstock and because they don't have the value. Am I saying whether that's right or wrong, Mike? No, I'm not. But I'm saying for $129, they would have to, they're willing to say, let Lincoln keep doing this. And I just don't know that it's fair to, on a shared service like that, to keep doing that. It just, where does it stop? And it just, it's the ambulance today. Is it the police station tomorrow? The police? And all of a sudden, if they can't afford their police department, are we gonna subsidize that? I don't know. I'm just saying. It just, and I mean, I like the thing of making sure that we have that checks and balances. I think we should have, definitely should have that. I like what Karina said about having the paying the bills and making sure that they're going towards what they should be going towards, and they're not buying extra things that are not in the budget. I mean, I'd also like to see the representation, if we're paying more, if we are indeed going to pay more, have more of the representation on the board.
Okay.
But
So, yeah, I mean, while you're saying it's an equal amount per 1,000, that doesn't make it an equal amount. Our tax base is higher, so it comes out that way. That doesn't mean that that our populace is benefiting by paying less. It's just we happen to have a larger
people.
tax base, not more people, a larger tax base.
Tax base.
So, not all of us have those expensive homes, and the people that do are actually paying more proportionately. So it's not the same. I don't think this is a great deal for Lincoln, but it's probably what we got, and which is probably why I'm gonna support it. But there is a good point about the slippery slope. Are we gonna start doing that with everything because our tax base is bigger? We pay a bigger share for the same service, and I don't know that that's correct.
Who was up first? You or Paul?
Either way.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Well, a couple of things. I think this is the ambulance model today. But I think you're gonna go over that. You're gonna look at the budgeting, what the money that's coming in, where it's really coming from. We're gonna improve the data sources. So this is a 1-year commitment, and we're going to have an agreement with them, and we're going to have a contract and an agreement with Woodstock so that we can reassess it when the year is up. And the other thing for our other services, there may be a totally different model because you're going to be looking at different data. So you can't say this is going to apply to the other services we may share. It may come out to be a totally different, calculation. So I think I think for this year, this is the best we can do this year.
I agree.
And then moving forward,
Mhm.
looking at real data and determining how do we actually calculate this fairly for both communities, we'll come up with a model that meets our needs and their needs better.
Agreed.
You know, again, I agree. I think it's, you have to vote for it. I think it's common sense that it's something we have to go forward with. That postscript in the note from Woodstock was rather, that bothered me more than the rest of the conversation.
Sure.
And that's why I
yeah,
put together
yeah,
what I did.
think
Yeah.
Maybe setting, on it, for all the right reasons, maybe setting a very bad precedent, but we gotta do it anyway, so let's get it done and figure it out next year.
Right, right.
And
Sorry, I agree with that. Should we, call the vote?
Call the question. All in favor?
that's fine.
Raise your hand, say aye. Aye. Okay. All in favor of recommending the Linwood ambulance article in the amount of $387,515. Please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
1, abstain, 0. The Linwood ambulance article in the amount of $387,515 is recommended, 10 and 1. Thank you, everyone. Is there a motion to recommend the article for the water system improvement, the lead and copper compliance in the amount of $800,000?
So moved, Jim.
Motion, second. Cindy, second. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending the article for the water system improvements, lead and copper compliance, the amount of $800,000, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is that an aye, Paul?
That was a 9. Yep.
Okay, abstain? Well, okay. The article for the water system improvements, lead and copper compliance, in the amount of $800,000 is recommended unanimously. Okay, so the subtotal. Is there a motion to recommend the warrant article subtotal, other warrant article subtotal in the amount of $2,001,923?
So moved, Jim.
Motion Herb, second. Al. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the subtotal for other warrant articles amount of $2,001,923. Please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Okay, the article for the subtotal in the warrant articles of $2,001,923 is recommended unanimously.
No, 10 to 1.
The motion carries. What is?
All
Oh.
of them, no.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said no on the total. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Oh, sorry about that. That's right. Motion carries 10-1. Okay, is there a motion to recommend the grand total of the CRS trust fund and special warrant articles in the amount of $3,663,117? Motion, Herb, second,
Second.
Tammy, discussion? Okay, all those in favor of recommending the grand total of CRF trust fund and other warrant articles, please raise your right hand in the amount of $3,663,117. Please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 No, I'm sorry.
No.
No take backs.
No, no.
Yeah, I had it marked down and.
You can mark it whatever you want. That's fine with me. I'm okay with it.
Okay, abstain? Okay, the grand total for the CRF trust fund and other warrant articles is recommended in the amount of $3,663,117, 10 and 1. That's it?
You have to vote on the revenues for that as well,
I thought we did the rest.
not on the special warrant article.
Yeah, for the special, we have revenue.
Yes. Okay, is there a motion to
Anyone?
recommend the offsetting revenue for the special warrant articles in the amount of $2,165,000? No. You're not adding the 800,000 to that?
No, no, I just did the math. I actually had it in the revenue for the special warrant articles. I just didn't have it on that page. So it's actually the 1,365,000. Yeah.
So you were correct.
I was correct.
It usually is,
No, not
Yeah.
always.
usually.
You,
Okay, is there a motion to recommend the special warrant articles offsetting revenue amount of $1,365,000?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion Herb, second,
Second.
second Dennis, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the special warrant articles offsetting revenue amount of $1,365,000, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, the warrant articles offsetting the revenue amounts of $1,365,000 is recommended unanimously. And so we have a grand total of those two, but that 2.9 doesn't include the 673. So should we just do a grand total on the bottom?
the grand total is already on the bottom, the 3,600,000. Yeah.
That's what I mean, but. And was that on the other page?
We did the operating and the other revenues together. We did that first. And then we did the 1,365,000 just right now.
Uh-huh.
All three of those numbers together equal the 3,622,000.
Okay. And the amount? 3,663,000 and the grand totals? On the CRF page? They're completely different?
That is the reserve warrant articles and the special warrant articles together.
Okay. Okay, so the Oh, I'm sorry, the 3,600,000 is the difference between the offsetting and the operating and the totals expenditures minus the revenues.
No,
No?
no, the 3,663, is that the number you're questioning?
Well, I'm looking at that on the back and just wondering why it's different than the 3,600,000 on the operating, on the worksheet page.
Okay, so you have to add the reserve trust articles at 1.6
Uh-huh.
plus the special warrant articles at 2.
Uh-huh.
That brings you to the 3.6.
Okay. And again, I'm sorry if I'm really getting this wrong, but I have 3,663,000.
Yeah, it's the 1,661,194 plus the 2,001,932 together makes 3,663,117.
And that is not connected to the 3,600,000 on the worksheet page.
The 3,600,000 on the worksheet page is revenue, not expenditures.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I was doing fine right up. I did look into my error on the number of calls for the Linwood ambulance. And what I had looked at when I thought there were thousands is on that sheet that was comparing the cents per thousand. They had everything for 2004, but then they had the call numbers from 2016 to
The 8-year, yeah.
2024. And it was 4,000 Lincoln and 2,000 Woodstock. That's where that number got there. I'll come up with a reason why I. Okay. All right.
Do we want to do that grand total number on that front, that 2,926,928?
No, you want to do the 3 million,
Want to do the 3.6?
you want to do the 3.6.
3,600,000.
3.6.
Can you say the number?
3,600,022
For revenues, but then
For
we have to go
revenues.
back and do
Gotta do
the,
Grand
Total.
total of expenditures.
yeah, that's it, yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion to recommend the grand total revenues in the amount of $3,600,022? Motion, second, Cindy, discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the grand total of offsetting revenues in the amount of $3,600,022, please raise your right hand and say aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, the motion to recommend the offsetting revenue total of $3,600,022 is recommended unanimously. Thank you, Branch. So now we have our 2.9, right?
No, now you just have the grand total of the
Yeah, the
expenditures.
13,319.
I see. Got it. Oh, that's right. That was the offsetting revenues. Is there a motion to recommend the grand total budget, operating and articles and reserve in the amount of $13,319,799? Motion second. Second, Tammy, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending the total budget amount, including operating reserve and warrant articles in the amount of $13,319,799. Please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Two. Abstain? No, 9 and 2. Okay. Our work is completed. Any other discussion? Motion to adjourn.
I
Wait a minute.
I just wanted to invite the budget committee. We will have to hold a bond hearing specific to the $800,000 for the lead and copper. That won't be included in the budget hearing next Tuesday because it needs to be noticed differently So on the February 24th at 5:30, we're gonna hold it at the regular selectmen's meeting, the bond hearing. February 24th at 5:30. There was no,
No big changes.
I don't think you made any changes.
well, I mean, if the budget, but I don't think it needs to be done prior to the budget. I think the budget committee can vote on their budget, that's their budget, and then we can vote on ours, and then I will, once the budget is ready to go and I need signatures, I'll just send out an email and similar to last year, and you can come in and sign it.
Prior to that.
Well, I think it's gone both ways. I think we try to hold the budget and the bond hearing at the same time. But yeah, but this year, the way that the timing of the budget hearing, how we have to notice.
Only reason we did it was because we felt the bond hearing or budget hearing and we both credit that. That's the only reason.
Okay, yeah, you don't need to.
So pertaining to that, I do have one real question. If the EPA requirement for this lead testing goes away,
Mhm.
what happens then? The whole thing just becomes null and void?
Yeah, I mean, essentially my plan is to not apply or to, apply for a loan until we are guaranteed that we
that
have
would have.
the grant funding. Yeah. So like, I'm not even going to start the bond process until we know that we have that grant in hand. And then in the event that we got that grant, but for some reason the EPA gets dissolved or whatever it could happen. I mean, stranger things have happened, right? We would most likely we'd have to pay for the project that we spent to up until that point, but we most likely would then just return the money and pay off the bond early. We'll make sure that we enter into a bond agreement that there's no prepayment penalty.
Tuesday at 5:30. Tuesday, 5:30. Public hearing.
Mhm.
Well, so tomorrow,
Yes. Saw that. Have you done that? Okay. All right, Paul made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Al? Oh, Brad seconded it? Okay. All right, any further discussion? No, all in favor of motion to adjourn? Raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.